Wouldn't you like to come for a ride in my sexy red sports car? Truth is that this nice car isn't mine. This battered sedan here is my car. It has a lot of advantages. It has more space, my son can scratch it, and it takes me places conveniently and efficiently. So why are people attracted to beautiful cars? The story of the car is an analogy to sexual selection we will discuss in this video. So far, we discussed useful traits. An impala that is fast will survive and reproduce, while a slow one will be eaten and will leave no offspring. There's a great number of selected traits. Darwin formulated the rules of natural selection and everything was fine until he saw the tail of a peacock, which made him feel sick. This tail does not promote survival. To the contrary, it requires a lot of energy to produce and carry around. It makes the peacock conspicuous to predators and it slows down its already ungainly flight. And the peacock is not alone. There are lots of other animals with such peacock-like properties that are expensive to produce and maintain and that attract predators. Darwin thus formulated the rules of sexual selection. The logic is simple and we will demonstrate it by looking at the peacock's tail. Sexual selection is, like natural selection, based on variability, in this case of the length of the tail. It is further based on heritability. Males with a long tail pass on this property to their offspring. This is however not sufficient. For sexual selection to work, another property has to be passed on: the attraction of females to males with long tails. If females won't prefer males with long tails, these tails will not have any advantage. To the contrary, long-tailed males that have a higher chance of falling victim to predators will gradually disappear. However, if females love long tails and this preference is passed on to their daughters, as seems to be the case in peacocks, we will get a runaway positive feedback loop that will cause the tails to get longer and longer due to sexual selection. Let us see how this happens. The female benefits from mating with long-tailed males because her long-tailed male offspring will be popular with females, resulting in many popular long-tailed grandchildren. In this manner, long tails in males, as well as the attraction of females to long-tailed males, will increase over the generations.
Peacocks are only one example of many. For example, this long-tailed widow bird is a small bird with a tail that is 1/2 meter long. When the tail was either trimmed or artificially elongated, it turned out that females would go with male with the longest tail. Sexual selection is thus the result of two inherited traits: the trait itself in one sex, usually the male, and the preference for this trait in the opposite sex, usually the female. To some extent, this is a chicken and egg question. What appeared first, the trait or the preference? Michael Ryan studied a range of sexual selection phenomena and concluded that the preference preceded the trait. Until the trait appeared by chance in the male, the preference remained hidden. Ryan studied the courtship call of toads. He discovered that while the call itself exists only in a single species, females of many other species that live in faraway locations are attracted to this call.
Like many other beauty traits, this call has a price, as it attracts, as you can see here, bats that eat these noisy toads. Other studies looked at the swordtail fish. When researchers glued an artificial sword to males in a swordless species, the females of this species were attracted to it. These observations show that the preferences existed before the trait. But why? In swordfish, the sword makes the male look bigger, and females prefer bigger males. In guppy fish, females prefer bright orange males. These fish feed on orange fruit. The attraction to orange fruit might have become a general attraction to this color, not only for food but also for mate choice. In most cases, we have no clue about the source of the preference. In certain cases, it could represent something. For example, the expensive sports car shows that its owner is likely to be rich. If he is rich, he might be able to care better for his offspring. The prominent Israeli researcher Ramot, who recently passed away, proposed the highly controversial Handicapped Principle. Zahavi surmised that for a single to be authentic, it has to be as costly as possible. If If a certain individual can survive in spite of carrying a long tail or some other costly feature, it signals to the female that he has good genes and is particularly successful, and thus a worthy mate. In the text following this video, I will explain why I, like most researchers in the field, do not think that the handicapped principle can explain sexual selection. I mention it here, however, due to my great respect to Zehavi, who was one of the founding fathers of nature conservation in Israel. Moreover, even if flawed, the handicapped principle played an important role in the discussion of sexual selection.
While the tail of birds and the croaking of toads might sound like a marginal phenomena, they represent the important question, what is beauty? Visual, acoustic, aromatic, or tactile? We as humans are of course also attracted to beauty, an attraction that supports the huge industry that enhances beauty artificially. Fashion, plastic surgery, makeup and perfume, as you can see in my local drugstore. No matter how and why sexual selection evolved, it fills our world with beautiful animals and plants in all colors of the rainbow.